the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham.
Here.
Lynch.
Here.
Uhrig.
Yes.
Kish. I have the meeting minutes from October 26, 2021. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Lynch with a pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Uhrig, Kish were all present. Also in attendance were Case Marsh, G. Lynch, R. Cerrone, C. Nyhart, and Chief Wilhelm. 10-5-21, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Uhrig, to approve the minutes of the October 12, 2021 regular meeting as corrected. All ayes. 10-6-21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the September 2021 credit card action transaction detail, having been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. 10-7-21, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. There were no audience concerns. Trustee Lynch called on Chief Wilhelm for any report so that he could leave after his report. Under fire, Chief Wilhelm presented information on a traffic preemption system to the trustees. This is a safety feature that is set off by the decimal of a siren turning a traffic light red for all traffic, except for the direction that the emergency vehicle is coming from. The intersection at State Route 58 and Middle Ridge Road could benefit from this specialized safety feature. He presented packets with information for the trustees to look over. The fire department's recommendation is for the system that utilizes a siren system. He is currently looking at pricing to bring back to the trustees. Trustee Lynch noted he did not have an update to the working document of expenditures of the American Rescue Plan Act Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, but he noted packets contained a copy from the Ohio Township Association Weekly Legislative Alert dated 10/22/21 that the Senate introduced and passed what would create significant flexibility for For local.
You probably have it in there and it printed up, didn't print because of the
Let me look real
margin.
quick.
For local government, maybe?
For
Yeah.
local? No, that's
That's what
exactly
it'll
where
be.
it's at. It's got to be for local governments.
Yes, it definitely is, Chris.
You
Then
wanna
I
add
have-
that?
I'm correcting that right now. Then I have 10-8-21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, accepting the amounts and rates determined by Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Revised Code Section 5705-34-35. All ayes. Under reports, ambulance, there was nothing to report. Under zoning, 6 permits, 3 new homes year-to-date, 4 new complaints, currently looking into them. The BZA hearing met and renewed the conditional use for outside storage at A&C Tire. Under road, park, and cemetery, Road Superintendent Marsh reported cemeteries and parks being maintained with leaf pickup. Dumpster days went well. We only had 5.5 dumpsters filled, so it is getting less and less each year. We've been crack sealing. The yard waste pile will be looked at tomorrow for grinding. Getting estimates for the box for the truck and also estimates. I think that should be crossed off.
Okay.
Received the new playground equipment and hope to have that replaced next week. The cemetery repairs that will utilize the grant monies received will begin in November. Trustee Lynch gave an update on the ODOT Township Stimulus Program that Kevin and Linda are working on for resurfacing Oberlin Road from Middle Ridge to North Ridge Road. Trustee Lynch is getting more information for the grant. He noted that packets contained a copy of an email that went out to K Drive/Oberlin Road residents regarding the sanitary sewer that will be installed for Hampshire Farms. This work is supposed to begin on November 1st. All of this can affect the project we are putting in for the ODOT stimulus program. Under Phase 2, Trustee Lynch attended the Stormwater Advisory meeting. There will be a slight modification in the application. The SWAC group approved the new scoring, still to be approved by the commissioners. We will wait till we receive the finalized documentation. Trustee Uhrig noted that the Solid Waste Policy Committee met and began the review process, and also the consortium met and he provided a report to each trustee at their seat. 10:09:21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, moved to enter into executive session at 8:08 PM according to ORC Sections 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purposes. All ayes. 10:10:21, motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, moved to return from executive session at 8:50 PM. All ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be November 9th, 2021, at 7 PM at the Amherst Township Hall. No work session scheduled at this time, but if Pete Zwick becomes available, a date may be set. 10:11:21, a motion by Uhrig, seconded by Abraham, to adjourn at 8:50 PM. All ayes.
Okay, other than the corrections that Chris noted, are there any other changes or corrections to the October 26th meeting minutes?
No.
Okay, then can I have a motion to approve the October 26th, 2021 meeting minutes as corrected?
So move. I second it.
Motion was by Abraham and seconded by Uhrig and Abraham. Okay, thank you. Uhrig,
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
All right, then we have your financials in front of you. The payment listing, pretty basic, except there's our third quarter to the fire department, which was a large sum. Otherwise, everything else is normal monthly checks. And our revenue to date is $1,570,046.96. And our expenditures are $836,543.85.
You know, as long as I've been a trustee now, it seems like our revenues are pretty stagnant. You know, even though we've had the additional levies, it's just what the state's taken away, we're kind of where we were 20 years ago. If you look at the total revenue to date, there isn't going to be a whole lot coming in, in the next month. I don't know, Chris, you might get some cable fees and maybe a few gas tax items and possibly a few permits if Remy has any activity, but that slows down come colder months anyway. So it's just something to see that just kind of sits there. All right, are there any other comments or questions on the financial reports or any of the bills there?
Nope. Not as far as I'm
Okay,
concerned.
then can I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Abraham?
Yes.
Uhrig?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes. Anything else there, Chris, on the financial?
Nope, that's it.
I did, just because we have it under the financials, I just wanted to bring the trustees up to date. I did check on the legislation for changes to the American Rescue Plan Act expenditures. There is a companion House bill. Unfortunately, I didn't write it down. I've got it open on my computer, and as of yesterday, other than introducing the bill, and it's in the House Government and Oversight Committee, there's been no action on it. If the trustees want to support it, though, they could contact our representative, because Congressman Jordan does sit on that committee, and encourage him to support it. I expect that the House is going to pass it similar to, or maybe with minor changes of the Senate, because the Senate, it was pretty much unanimous in the approval. So I wouldn't expect the House to have a whole lot of concern over it.
And which one was this? I'm sorry.
It's Senate S3011. That's in item 5B, Chris.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
unfortunately, I didn't mark down, I should have marked down what the House bill was, now that
Okay.
the House
No,
bill has
great,
been
thanks.
assigned. Yeah, it's been assigned, but it's almost like a placeholder, other than putting it before one committee, there's been no action or hearing on it whatsoever as of yesterday.
Gotcha, thank you.
And even if there is, I would expect that to be later in the week, and I don't know if they'll send it to any of the other committees in between. At this time, I see we don't have any audience today, so no need for any welcome here. We'll move on to correspondence and announcements. Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Okay, Denny?
Nothing, sir.
All right, well, that makes it unanimous. We'll move on to reports. Ambulance, Denny?
Nothing under ambulance.
Okay, Sheriff's not here. Zoning, Remy?
We had 2 new houses to add to our yearly total, so that brings us up to 5 year-to-date.
Where were those at?
One of them was just across the street on Oberlin Road here, across the tracks on the left-hand side, and the other one was the house for the first house of...
For Hampshire Farms.
Hampshire
there, right
Farms.
next to the old Herman homestead.
Right. And that's right on Oberlin Road, and those are 2 new addresses as well.
And you got those new addresses to Georgianne, too?
Yes,
Okay.
she's
thanks.
aware of them.
And don't you
Also-
have a site plan review coming up?
Yes, we got a site plan review coming up on December the 7th at 7 o'clock, or no, maybe 6:30, I do believe. And then we also have a ZBA meeting for a conditional use, which is coming up on the 11th of this month at 7 o'clock, day after tomorrow.
What is the site plan for, please?
The site plan is for a storage facility, which is going to be added to the storage facility that already exists catty corner from the golf course on Levitt Road.
Okay.
And
And
the
when
other
is-
one is a conditional use for a gentleman who's working on trucks and cars and parking his vehicles over at the flea market, Green Acres. I think that's the name of it.
When
Wilma
is that?
Mayfield.
What is that date, Remy? The BZA hearing? What's the date?
The BZA hearing is the 11th of this month at 7 o'clock,
That's what I just asked.
Thursday.
day after tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Remy? Okay, seeing
Good.
none, I'm going to ask, Georgianne, were you able to get the third quarter fire reports up? Okay. I think she, okay. Can you make it a little bigger? All right. Just so,
I didn't get that.
yeah, just so that we can explain what's going on here, we did get our third quarter fire report again, and so far it's staying pretty consistent, the total number of calls, but just so we're aware of the distribution, and this goes in 2 different ways to look at this. Chief Wilhelm is still presenting, as we've requested, the number of calls north of the Ohio Turnpike, the number of calls south of the Ohio Turnpike, and then for the financials, as far as payment out of the 2 levies that are available, is identifying when it's emergency medical service, first responder call versus the fire calls. So if you look at this here in the 2 red areas, even though one's a slightly different shade, just if you think of red as the danger, those are the fire calls. So within the third quarter ending in September, we had a total of 12 actual structure and fire calls, which amounts to 16% of the total calls of 76 that we actually had to have runs go out. And then for the EMS calls, there were actually 64 EMS calls, which represent 84% of the runs that are there. Now, this doesn't identify whether they were for a homeowner or whether it was a motor vehicle accident, but typically when we've looked at that stratification of the data, the vast majority are usually motor vehicle accidents, but there is a percentage that's also in home calls. and the first responders are responding there. So it is holding consistent, but you can see, as we've seen before, where the vast majority of the calls are for emergency medical service. And as you can see now, it's actually 68% of the calls are north of the turnpike as it stands right now. And if you think about that, our population is still kind of split, relatively even. We've checked that before. You would think it's where the population it is, and it's where the intersections that have the most motor vehicle accidents are located, or the more active roadways. And that ties into where Chief Wilhelm, at our last meeting, and our fire prevention officer, Chris Nyhart, were here, and they're proposing the traffic preempters there. That's not going to reduce motor vehicle accidents in the normal case, but it'll make it easier for them when they're responding so they don't become part of that accident. And I'm sure if you've seen the local media, that's just happened recently here locally. So that's just to make it safer for the public that's out there when emergency comes through, and also for the responders, and then allow them to get quicker on scene when there is a call. But I just received this this week, and we had to scan this in. I didn't have this electronically so that it could be displayed here. So you don't have copies of this, but you can see the data there. If you need copies, I can certainly send it out to you. We will be beginning the discussions on the continuation of the fire and EMS agreement, and at that time we'll be looking at the total data to continue on, because that will be up at the end of this year. And hopefully you guys have looked at the traffic preempters. Chief Wilhelm, he has been successful in getting from the other chiefs that are providing mutual aid for calls in our township, and he's also, for our local state representative, Joe Miller, has signed a letter supporting the provision of even funding and the putting up the traffic preempters, because as we discussed before, the township doesn't own any of the traffic lights. They're either county lights or state lights, state traffic signals. So we're hoping that the state will actually, as part of the upgrade of the signals, put in the traffic preempters that are the ones that are the most active in terms of the emergency vehicles traveling through. And those vehicles, realize, is not just the fire. That's the fire, the ambulance, sheriff, highway patrol. So every vehicle coming through there, because even like the Central Ambulance District, Sheffield, they're using these same traffic lights as they're going to the local medical providers if they're transporting people that have been injured in an incident. So hopefully that comes through, but he is working on this, and that's really going to be helpful, and that's obviously the lowest cost time to go forward. And as we've indicated, if it becomes a tug of war over payment, we'll certainly pay a proportion of that, but we're hoping that our state elected officers see that this should be something that ODOT should be planning for as they go forward, versus an after the fact as a separate entity to do those upgrades. I don't know if there's any other questions on fire or first responders.
I have none.
Okay, then we'll move on to roads, parks, and cemeteries. Superintendent Smarsh.
Definitely in full force of the leaf pickup and removal for the parks and cemetery. And in the park, we worked on the playground equipment and was able to replace the platforms that we ordered, and the full slide that replaced the tube slide we had there. We got the mulch tilled up. Supposed to be meeting with with the health department about this. They want to scope out everything that we changed, but between Linda and I and them, we haven't been able to tack down a good time. But hopefully, it's kind of in the plans for tomorrow, but it's not set in stone.
Okay, but you met their deadline as far as the installation.
Correct.
Okay, good. It's, and just so that, I don't know if the other trustees are aware of this, you know, that the material coming in so late, you know, put pressure on the road crew to get that installation done because the grant had a deadline of getting that installed. So, and then the health department is what Kevin's referring to, will be coming out for the inspection and checking things out. And maybe they'll even take a photo of you.
And that's
Yeah.
part of our grant requirements, that we have the site visit. We also have to have everything completed by November 30th, so that doesn't give us a whole lot of room.
Right,
We're trying.
yeah. Okay, Kevin.
The catch basins were cut today for sandstone excavating for the mini grant at our catch basins. That'll be happening in Hidden Valley. And we have done our last round of roadside mowing and trimming. We'll be getting that all cleaned up and put away. We have been hit and miss on getting the trucks in preparation for wintertime here. But so far, everything's looking quite well in that direction. Speaking of the trucks, I got my first estimate for the box replacement. That was yesterday, I got that in. And it was already warned to me by all three companies that were given estimates that from the time of order, it would be at least 22 weeks out.
Wow.
And all three of them said the same thing. And this first estimate I got was $28,000. Which was a lot more than what I was expecting.
That was 22K,
28.
28.
That's a question.
I was negotiating.
Yeah. I'm going to get in contact with the two other bidders to see what's going on, because it's been well over a month for all three of them that I've requested an estimate. And like I said, yesterday was the first one that came in, so.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I imagine this probably isn't something they would do. But does the state have anything with the Department of Administrative Services? Okay, because they do have like maintenance contracts and whatnot. I don't know if they would do box replacement. They may not keep their vehicles that long where they ever have to worry about it. They probably just get a new vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Other than that, everything's going smooth. That's all I have.
And just as we're aware, and though I haven't received the information back from the prosecutor, we do expect with that box, since Kevin said the truck's in good shape, we just need to replace the box, that we believe we can use the ARPA funds. We just need the verification from the prosecutor's office. So if the House concurs with the Senate, it may not matter based on what the current legislation is. Okay, are there any other questions then for
No,
Kevin?
I have none.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I just want to say, and for Linda too, I know both of you guys have worked on the ODOT stimulus grant. Linda's giving me a copy now to review, and you know, I have been marking it up. I haven't gotten through everything yet. I was hoping to say I didn't mark up anything, let it go, but we're just in the point we want to do the best we can to be successful on this and receiving the funding. And we certainly hope we do, but you know, who knows where it's going to go. I think a lot of it's going to be depending on how many townships apply for it based on the available funding. But as the trustees discussed before, we will be doing the section of Overland Road is what we're applying for from Middle Ridge to North Ridge. So it'd be wonderful for our residents if we can obtain it. but I know they put a lot of work in on this. Okay, Senior Services Township Administration, Linda Ashley.
Right now, I'm doing some Medicare counseling for the open enrollment time for prescription plan coverages. I've had 3 people in so far, and I have 2 more scheduled. I don't have a lot that come in, but I do have a few still that are stragglers. They'll be coming in. Those take about an hour each, so that
Yeah.
takes up some of my time. The ODOT Township Stimulus that you referred to, that's what we're working on. The cemetery grant, once Kevin has the headstones re-leveled, then we'll have to do the paperwork and put in all the rates and how many hours of manpower and that it took to finish up the grant work. As we said with the playground, they did get that up. I've been in contact with Sarah Tilley at the Lorraine County Public Health District. Last communication I had with her was last Thursday. I have been emailing her and calling her ever since. So I don't know if she's out sick or what the problem is. I left her another message today with my personal cell phone number, asked her to call. We have a tentative meeting set up tomorrow for 4:15, kind of with a question mark. So at this point, I don't know. We do have a deadline of the 15th to have our invoices in. I've already submitted all the invoices for game time for the playground equipment. And then November 30th is the last deadline to have the evaluation, the site visit, and all paperwork has to be completed.
And you said you've done that by email also,
For Sarah?
the contact?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, that's good because you've got, just so it shows we're meeting our deadlines.
Yes, I think I've emailed her 3 times and called her twice.
Yeah, it could be any combination. I don't know what else she gets tied up in over there, if she's involved with, any of
Right.
their shots they're giving out now, because they've got all those new clinics going on for the, the younger ones that are now eligible for the COVID shots, the
Right.
vaccine.
The only issue that we're having is that originally she said between 1 and 4 on Wednesday. Then she sent a text or an email and said, how about 4:15? That would make Kevin have to stay later, so I sent it back saying, how about before 3:30? Not heard anything from her, so, we're kind of at this point going, well, if we don't hear by 3:30 tomorrow, I guess Kevin just goes home.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to wait
We're not going to hang around, right? So, but we'll arrange something.
Okay.
Then I'm working on the newsletter
Just
article.
out of
Oh,
curiosity,
sorry.
they have to inspect things, or
A site visit, They just want to
can they
come.
do it with a video?
I do not know that. I do know she said they wanted to come out
Okay.
and see what,
Might want to contact them and see if you can do it, and whether you use the phone or just one of the notebooks, and do a video with them, because that might help them too.
right. Well, if she
You know,
calls me back.
You can zoom in, zoom out, they can see whatever they want. And, the other option is run a video and tape it and send it to them.
Right. The problem right now is not communicating,
Right.
so.
But that might be an option to give them, then you don't have to coordinate times. It makes it easy for you guys, because it's a disruption for you too, to be going down to the park at their schedule. You might want to just suggest it,
Okay.
because it might be more efficient for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure what on their end, what they have to do as far as the grant from their end, what kind of things, but then I'm also working on a newsletter article for the winter newsletter, just tallying up all of our grants, what we've used them for, how much they were. Some of them, $1,000 cemetery really don't sound like a lot, but when you add them all up, it really helps.
Right.
And it covers
You don't see
almost the whole cost.
how much work you put into it too.
Well, it doesn't cover my work, but
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay, I just have a question on the open enrollment for the Medicare. Naturally you get blitzed when that comes through. when I've got now a local credit union, drug mart, they have an OSHIP person there, or are they just pushing Advantage plans?
Some of the pharmacy departments are OSHIP certified.
Okay,
Some are not. I just think that they're doing whatever. I'm not real 100% sure on how they're doing that.
okay. I didn't see anything in any of the ads, even taking a magnifier to read their mice print, that they were OSHIP certified. So I was just curious, is it open to determine the best option for the individual like you would do, or is it pushing in a certain direction?
I cannot answer that.
Okay,
I don't know how they're working it.
okay.
I do know that through the state, like being OSHIP certified, we are not allowed to tell people what to do or sway them anyway. We have to show them all of their options.
Right,
What I do online for the residents is no different than what you could do online or they could do themselves. It's just really with the being senior citizens, a lot of it, they just need somebody to navigate the website for them
right.
and explain what the different options are.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be very well what they're doing at some of the drugstores.
And some of the other thing is, if they're getting the Part D or an Advantage plan that has the prescription drug, knowing what their drug list is so that the formulary covers
Exactly.
their drug. That's why I was just curious with the different groups. I can see where some of them have a financial interest. Obviously, if you're a pharmacy, you want them to use your pharmacy, but I wasn't sure why a credit union was getting involved in it. You know, in different banks, it's like, what's their interest?
That I don't know. I do know that any independent, or I should say, any licensed insurance broker can do,
Mm-hmm,
because they can also offer the standalone supplemental plans,
yeah.
which I, as a non-licensed broker, cannot touch. I can only touch Advantage plans.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all the work you guys are doing on this, because it definitely helps all the, the township overall and the financials, so. David or Denny, you guys have any questions?
No, I have no question.
Okay. We'll move on. Lorco's a second meeting, not today. Phase 2 stormwater, I think we've already talked about some of that, other than Linda, I just discussed with you today that I hadn't received any email from Don Romankak, who said he was going to send out the new applications over 2 weeks ago. Just today, I received an email. I didn't forward it to you, from Jessica Haslowski, but it's just got a link to their website for stormwater management where the new application's supposed to be, and she's discussing there must have been some difficulty with people accessing it, and I made sure I checked my email. It's like, well, why is someone accessing it? Because I've received no communication that the application was now available, even though we were told it eventually would be. So I don't know if between anyone else here,
I just forwarded it to you.
Okay, but that's the first time
Right.
you've seen it too, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I contacted Linda just trying to find out, hey, has anybody seen this thing? Because we're going to have to get moving on that next phase, and that's where we definitely need Pete Sawick from the engineering department with us to help on that. When I last talked with Pete, he acts like it isn't going to be that big of a deal, but as we've said, there's a lot more property owners involved in this, so I think it's more work than he's probably anticipating. But I'll contact Pete again on this so that, we're prepared to put that application in. We can't do it without his estimate, and we need to know how much is there and what we can afford to be able to do it. Okay, we'll move on to complaints, and Remy, obviously the first one's still on hold, but the second one is actually, the second and third are really about the same property, just from two different residents complaining about the property maintenance on a property on Deepwood.
And I went ahead and posted that property. I'm still trying to get a hold of the property owner. It's very difficult. It is possible that he's foreclosing on the property, but I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay. Well, I know, let's see, I don't have the copies of the complaints here, but I know the one lives close. They're probably both right there where they can see that you posted it, so
Right.
they should be aware of it.
And I did talk to...
Well, did you post it? I think the last time we talked, you just had it posted on the door,
That is on the garage door, right on the garage door facing the street, so you can,
but it's
anybody can see
visible where
it.
they can see it?
Right.
Okay.
And then I have talked to one of the complaintees and told them about that.
Okay, good. Okay, well,
And
there,
then we
there
got
is a
one
new
that came in,
complaint.
And it just came in tonight, so I'll be checking on that tomorrow, probably get right on that.
Okay, and that one, you're gonna have to talk with the prosecutor. You're talking about the one with the,
Foul
offensive
language.
sign?
Yeah.
Foul, yeah.
Yeah.
To see what, if anything, can be done on that, you know, in terms of authority. I'll figure out how to word that complaint. Just came in today, that's why it's not on your agenda, but you do have a copy of it in your packet.
That's a flag.
Do you want me to read this complaint?
No.
No.
I do, Kevin.
But if you if you like any type of the new music, you can hear it multiple times. Okay, in terms of the unfinished business, for those that have specific responsibilities, is there anything that needs to be brought up?
I don't have anything right now.
No, I don't have anything either.
All right,
Well,
then,
the only thing I bring up under solid waste, how are we doing on the grinding? That's still scheduled to come off then?
Yes. I signed off, bonded with him. It's all in the works right now.
We don't have any idea what the cost is gonna be on that, do we?
14.5.
14,500 for that?
Grind up and haul away.
That pretty much an estimate? Is that an estimate or a fait accompli?
I'm sorry?
Is that a predetermined price or an estimate?
That's the price.
Okay.
just so you're aware, Chris, we obviously will have to pay the invoice, but potentially a portion of that can be reimbursed later out of ARPA, but we still need the prosecutor to rule on that. I know he's kind of not sure, and I'm making the argument why we should, and I've even sent copies of, from PIPE, the public involvement, public education documents that are put together by our own county to inform people that specifically talk about stormwater, decomposition of these items and trying. It's like, well, if you're putting that in, how can you say, as we're informing and educating our residents through our newsletter, that's not covered, and how can you say bringing it up here is not covered? You know, there's the added advantage of keeping it out of landfill also, but we just have to wait for the prosecutor, and again, if the legislation comes through with this change, it won't matter, and maybe he's hoping it does. So I know he's
yeah.
aware of the legislation.
Right. Just
Okay.
as easy to do a reimbursement back to, an invoice back to us, so.
The other thing will be to find out, once it goes forward, though it may not matter, we'll have to look at expenses, is this may not happen now potentially till 2022. And one of those webinars I was on, they did say, yes, you can reimburse for the previous year. I just don't know what you have to go through to do that.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. All right, we'll move on then, under new business. I thought I had it here under new business. Ah. I got a feeling I didn't print the last one. Anyway, this would have been under new business. We received a notice from Jen Sinatra, who is the HR director for the county. And what she's provided is an extension for the Amherst Township employees to continue the joint self-insurance healthcare benefits program by the county of Lorraine through December 31st, 2024, because there are contracts every 3 years. She did say that the terms of the original agreement are unchanged and attached for your convenience, and I put a copy here with the resolution so you can see it. Please review the extension. If you accept the terms, execute and send back to me, then she'll end up sending the one after the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners signs it. Chris will have a copy for the files. But all this is they've kept everything identical to the current agreement that the Board of Trustees has signed. So this is just a resolution authorization of a 3-year extension of the healthcare benefits joint self-insurance program agreement with Lorraine County Board of Commissioners effective January 1st, 2022. And I'm going to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion?
My question is, wasn't the county looking into a different form of health insurance rather than self-insurance, going with a
Yes.
provider? I trust them, they decided to stay with self-insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of that, David, if you've just kept up with the news, you've seen with all the change over there, I'm only guessing that's probably why they haven't. But, you know, at this point, nothing's changed. And yes, they were looking at different types of insurance. They were looking at high deductibles with health savings arrangements, but that's all stopped. Okay? All right, any other questions? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
That is 11/3/21.
Okay, and Chris will get that over to the Jen so that we'll get our signed copy back. I'm sorry, Chris, that was 11/3?
11/3/21, yes.
Okay, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, November 23rd. Chris has asked that we also establish the end of year and 2022 organizational meeting. And I currently put down for Tuesday, December 21st. I just want to make sure everything's okay. It's, Chris, and I may have misunderstood. I thought on 12/28, there's someone can't be here.
Denny and Linda.
No, I can be here.
You told me you couldn't be here when we
I
asked a
told
couple
you.
weeks ago. You said, no, I won't be here on the 28th
The 28th.
of December.
I don't know what I have going on, but if I told you that, I was wrong.
Or you didn't mark it down. Well, I guess this is the thing. I don't know if we'll need Linda, but we might. She definitely can't be here.
So what date are you looking at?
Well, I put down only on a Tuesday, but I didn't, you know, that's why I think I included that in the email, but that's, you and David need to determine.
That Tuesday's good.
Okay, David, is Tuesday, December 21st okay for you?
What time?
Yeah,
7
I
o'clock.
don't see any reason why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it'd just be the same time. All we're doing is moving it up 1 week.
So it would normally have been the 28th anyway. Is what you're saying,
Correct.
The second.
Right, so we're just move it up 1 week, then we know Linda's definitely available. Then he may find out he didn't put in his planner. He might get reminded.
So we are on for
Tuesday.
Tuesday, December 21st.
21st at 7 o'clock. And that'll be the end of year and the 2022 org meeting, and all the data will be available. I'll have it by that, because I know the some of the statistics we look at, the Social Security Administration's already put their update out. You know, and I'll get the latest By the 21st, I should be able to have up through November, which is what we usually look at for the Consumer Price Index, also on that,
My goal is to have temporary appropriations of the December 14th.
the 14th, okay? And then, I'm trying to recall, because this extension didn't mention anything as far as costs, but are the costs the same as far as you know for healthcare costs?
Yes,
So everything stayed the same?
everything stays the same for this year.
Okay, because that's always a consideration we do too. You know, we've had in years past where there were no raises or low raises, you know, because the healthcare costs jumped up so
Right.
high. So,
There are-
okay,
yes,
that's
everything's
good.
the same.
Okay, so the temp appropriation by the 14th.
At the 14th, meeting on the 14th.
Okay. I just want to put a note down, I won't forget. Maybe. Okay, and I'll let people know if I'm able to arrange a meeting with Pete Zawick, which I'm hoping will be like, you know, that 7:30, 8 o'clock timeframe. You know, and it'll be a work session if he's available. Okay, are there any other questions? Yeah, Kevin?
Just a little mention on the stormwater. I spoke with Wolf Contracting today, and they are in the works here, like real quick, to get onto that angle ditch.
They still think they'll get it in this year.
It's
Good.
supposed to be starting here.
Probably right in time for a heavy rain to come in. All right, thanks, Kevin. Okay, any need for an executive session? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.